What's up, everyone? Stephie Smalls here, bringing you episode 10 already of Small Talk. This show is brought to you, of course, by FTN. Be sure to check us out at FTN Bets on Twitter and FTNBets.com. While you're over there, check out my new injury tracker. It'll be your best friend this season, setting your lineups over at FTN Fantasy. And as always, special shout out to our sponsors at Tipico Sportsbook. Go download their app. They will match 100% of your first deposit up to $750. This week, going to bring on a special guest to break down that Jets wide receiver room, the NFC South, and look into more of those NFL futures that you guys love. Let's dive into it. Joining me now is my bro, D-Bro. Look at that dad joke. Not bad. With FTN co-host Faith Shock. What's going on, Derek?
I'm doing good. We're off to a hot start, not even 30 seconds in, and we're already off the rails, so it's going to be a good show. But no, Smalls, I'm happy to be back. It's been a minute since we talked about bets and all kinds of stuff, so thanks for having me.
You're now a friend of the show. Like, you can add that to your accolades. It's like part of your CV, your resume, whatever you want to call it. You are a friend of Small Talk.
I love it. I mean, look, I understand your no headband policy, so I always try to adhere to that. Certain guests we won't bring up. But no, it's always a good time to sit here and talk. I know we hop on the cameras and we're like, okay, we're going to breeze through all these topics, and then our mouths open and we end up going off the rails, and we end up talking about all kinds of things that aren't even on the show sheet. So, it's good stuff.
Right, exactly. The Steph sheet, because I have to do bullet points where we go even crazier than normal. So we'll dive right into it. Let's talk about Crowder not getting the bag. He got half the bag, right? He went and got half a bag. What, people are talking about Elijah Moore. What's the stitch over there? How do you feel about Crowder? I know you had a couple tweets about it. How are we feeling?
I don't understand how everybody can just be like, oh, yeah, Jamison Crowder is back, and we should just feel totally fine about Elijah Moore, although we've been talking about, like, Crowder's out of town and he'll be cut, and now that he's there, we're just like, doesn't matter, it's all good. I mean, he's just a body. It's not going to limit his snaps. It's not going to push Elijah Moore out to the boundary, which practice reports today we're talking about he was working outside. He's working as maybe the Z. Look, I think it's going to hurt Elijah Moore that Crowder's back, whether you want to talk about snaps, when you want to talk about the role for a player that we saw at Ole Miss, played 92% of his snaps out of the slot. Asking him to win outside is something that he's going to be, it's a tall drink of water as far as like asking any rookie wide receiver to do that, much less a guy that played over 90% of his snaps in the slot at college. So I definitely think, like, look, I'm not firmly out on Elijah Moore, but people are... It's wishful thinking to understand that, like, this doesn't hurt him at all. Like, you're not putting all of it together if you're not saying that.
And that's ignoring the fact that we're still talking about other characters in the picture. I mean, it's not just Crowder and Moore. There's still other guys over there. So the Jets are a team that I'm very interested to see how this plays out. I've been saying it all offseason. Very excited for them. Love this journey. Love, free agency, the draft. Got it. Cool. How are you guys putting pieces together? That's what I need to know. I need a little bit more information. So one guy that I was very high on is Mims. Is Mims is he just done? It's it for Mims? Do we nail it in the coffin after this?
I think the hole's at least being dug. I hate to see it because you're looking at like 3 wide receiver sets. We're all like, okay, it's going to be Mims. It's going to be Moore if Crowder is gone. And it's going to be Corey Davis. And we're hearing that Keelan Cole is getting work with the ones over Denzel Mims. So, I mean, if you're not willing to put him in the coffin just yet, you at least have to, like, be preparing the dirt, digging the hole.
Maybe buy the coffin.
Yes! Picking out what type of wood you want to sit there and have it fashioned in. Because it could definitely happen. I hate to see it because I love the talent, but, I mean, we're trying to put all these training camp reports, I mean, like... you have to sit here and understand that, like, if he's running with the twos, that's not good. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. And it stinks because I feel like he totally got misused. Like, the way that he was used to run the routes that he was, it was just not a pretty picture over there. I think, though, him and Wilson do complement each other very well. He's very good at contested catches, but I don't know that he's going to get that chance. He's kind of one of those guys that come into the league and they draw the short stick. It happens all the time, and the talent is there, but they don't get the chance. And that's how I feel about Mims. I'm a little nervous now, but you can't really move him. You can't trade. You're not going to get any value for him, so you're kind of stuck. You stick him on your bench, and then you hope for the best.
I mean, honestly, that's about it. I mean, whether you want to hold on to him, you're not going to get a ham sandwich for him in Dynasty right now, so good luck with that. I mean, you really just have to hope that you hold on to him and maybe he gets a shot, maybe some injuries happen throughout the season and the value pumps up. But right now, none of these reports are good that we're hearing.
Yeah. It's not looking pretty over there. Talking about ham sandwiches, but definitely a guy that's worth more than a ham sandwich, but people are trying to trade just the ham sandwich in my leagues for is Kyle Pitts. The Kyle Pitts is a craze, right? Unicorn. We love Kyle Pitts. Very excited. Already being rated, within those top guys that we know, the Holy Trinity, Waller, Kelsey, Kittle, the whole ordeal. What's the value for Pitts right now? Because the values I'm getting, sir, like you're going to have to offer me more than Galladay and Daniel Jones to get Pitts, right? Come on.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about ham sandwiches. I mean, people better be coming with the whole food truck if they're coming for Kyle Pitts in Dynasty. Like, his redraft stock is still super high. So you're talking about Dynasty and we're playing more than 1 year? Yes, you better be offering the food truck and then maybe something else. Like, this sit-down restaurant.
I want the pig, too. You want to talk about ham? Give me the whole pig.
Good Lord. Galladay and Jones? You're not even in the right area code. The GPS has led you astray. This is off the office. Like, you're somewhere in the river. This is not going to work out well for you if you're going to send those type of offers. Yeah. I mean, the hype is high. I get it. It's deserved. The guy is uber talented, and however you want to dice it up, yes, he's worth it. So if you're going to come at somebody, you better sit here and craft a strong offer or be prepared to get laughed out of the league if you sit here and walk in with Galladay and dimes.
It's crazy, and I swear, the next couple trade, I'm going to start posting that because at this point, it's like you guys are being disrespectful. What you're sending me, like, no, I'm not giving you Slayton and a first for it's a hot. Like,
oh, Lord.
No that's happening. Like, come on, at least be realistic with it because he is worth a lot right now, and maybe that value drops. I don't see it actually dropping. But talking about the Julio trade just a little bit because I know everyone has, we've exhausted it to death. Mm-hmm. Is there a loser from this trade? Because I feel a little strongly about this. So let's see how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, look, Matt Ryan, whatever ceiling you had or hopes for one that you had, that's gone. I think the quiet loser in this one, and we're projecting that Julio stays healthy in this realm, this economy. For me, the ceiling, the league-winning, wide receiver one ceiling for A.J. Brown has been just obliterated. It's been zapped. If Julio is healthy, that's gone now. I mean, the fact that you were looking at A.J. Brown, is he just the Hoover vac in Tennessee? Is he going to just soak up all the targets? That reasonable outcome for him has been just obliterated. So I think that people don't want to talk about it, but they were drafting A.J. Brown as a top 5 wide receiver. That ceiling's come down now. I mean, is he still wide receiver one? That's fine if you want to evaluate him that way, but I think he's a really obvious one. A man close to my heart, before we get into other teams and situations here, that I was ranking very, very aggressively, and now my best ball portfolio is not happy, is Anthony Firkser. So I'm hurt. I am dismayed. Yeah. I am still reeling and my head is still spinning because I had high hopes for him maybe getting 90 to 100 targets, but that reality, much like the A.J. Brown wide receiver one reality, is gone. It's off the table. So those are the two biggest losers per se, at least out of this trade.
Yeah, and I think a lot of attention is going to Matt Ryan, but I think people are failing to realize that I almost think that they're fine. I almost think that we have to look at Tennessee and how that's going to fan out over there. I also do, to play devil's advocate and now that I'm diving back into injuries, I do think that Julio going there does preserve the longevity of Julio Jones and Derrick Henry, where we were hearing a lot of Derrick Henry is going to fall off. He can't keep up. But maybe he doesn't have to keep up at the rate he was going. Maybe he can still be as productive, and you can hang on to him not getting hurt now because you're splitting it across a bunch of guys that are very, very talented.
I mean, I think Derrick Henry, anybody ranking him outside like the top 10 running backs, he's still going to be an RB1 any way you slice it, even at his floor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, if you're talking about, okay, well, is he top 5? Is he top 3? I mean, a more efficient and productive offense, they're trotting out Julio Jones as the wide receiver 2, is great things for the efficiency and the scoring opportunities for this offense versus who's your hero? Who was your king before? Josh Reynolds? Oh, no. That is not where the crown should be placed. You don't want Josh Reynolds running at you, too. That is not a good thing for anybody.
What?
No. That's horrible.
Yeah,
no.
And also, not, again, like looking at this, AJ Brown is coming off of a surgery, bilateral knee surgery. If you guys think that they're not going to ease him in no matter what, it's going to happen. So Julio, especially in the beginning of the season, is probably going to eat some targets to try to preserve AJ Brown's health as well. So, but going into the NFC South, we'll stop talking about AJ Brown and Julio. It's starting to make me a little nervous about my rosters too, because I've convinced myself it's okay, but is it okay? I don't know yet. Let's talk about faith in Darnold. How do we feel about Darnold? I'm excited for him, but is it going to be like a comeback game and then we just see kind of thing? And that's the first time I made a fart noise on my show. How about that? Episode 10.
It was bound to happen at some time. I think that Darnold will be fine where people are evaluating him as a mid QB2, just based off of the weapons that it's a stacked house around him.
Exactly.
You want to talk about Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, DJ Moore, CMC. Like, it's all good things. I'll even sneak Dan Arnold in here. It's all great pass catchers. Now, I understand Carolina's schedule is not pretty. It's top 10 as far as hardest against the pass. So, is that a worry for Darnold? Sure. I mean, Darnold himself is a worry for Darnold. So, I think that all of these things need to be taken in context, but he's got the pass catchers around him to elevate him. So, if you're in on Sam Darnold, you're in on Sam Darnold not because you love Sam Darnold. You're in on Sam Darnold because you look at him as Carolina's version of Andy Dalton. Basically, everybody around him is going to pull him up. Not the fact that he is going to pull them up. It's the other way around here. So I think that Sam Darnold it's fine where he's going in drafts and to be a little bit higher than consensus, considering all of these studs that are just litter this depth chart being on Sam Darnold, that's fine. We're all going to shoot our shots. And I like the offense as a whole. So Sam Darnold can get brought along based off of all of that.
And really, is he going to be worse than Teddy Bridgewater, right? Like,
No.
Or is that his floor, right? So I feel like if you had those players in the past, you can just kind of expect the past and then go from there, because is the ceiling a little bit higher? Yeah, I think it's there. But again, are we also going to maybe get an inconsistent Darnold? Are the ghosts from the Jets going to follow him over and be tackling him over there? Maybe. But I don't think Darnold's going to fail over there, but is his floor kind of a Teddy Bridgewater thing? A little bit.
A little bit. I think that he's going to provide a little bit, maybe more with his legs. I mean, we're talking about Teddy last year. Nobody runs worse than Teddy in the red zone. I know that he came out and he's like, well, we never practiced it. It's like, I mean, you've been playing football for a long time, sir. Do we need a lot of, I get you need to run through the red zone plays and stuff like that, but should scoring touchdowns be that hard for you?
Right.
I mean, his touchdown.
You want us to tell you
terrible.
what position you play too, or if you remember?
Horrible.
We'll move on from them. Who the hell is playing quarterback for the Saints? I need to know.
You're setting me up here. You're setting me up here, Smalls.
No,
I know.
This is the black hole you entered coming on my show.
I'll take the bait. I'm going to sit here and bite. I'm going to go with it. Taysom Hill's going to be the starter week 1. I'm in for it. I understand that now, all right, I got to mute Twitter real fast, because as soon as this goes live, I know that all of Jameis Winston Hive is going to come at me on this one. I think Taysom is going to be the starter. And if you head over to FTN Fantasy, you look at the long breakdown that I wrote up about Taysom and Sean Payton and all the history here, I don't think that Sean Payton is really going to be into just trying to redesign the wheel. I think that he is like, look, we can still rock it. I mean, these tires look good all the way around. Let's just run it back, baby. So I think Taysom is going to add a wrinkle to the offense. I think that that's what they're going to roll with.
And Peyton doesn't know what he wants. That's what everyone doesn't get. He's like your standard girl on dating apps. Like, he literally has no idea what he wants. He just kind of has a type. He likes brunettes, right? Like, that's essentially what we want. He likes quarterbacks. He's not sure who he wants. But the only thing that worries me about them is, do we see this quarterback tango that we've started to see develop across the league, Miami, so whatever? Like, do we get Taysom for 3 quarters and then do you get Jameis for the 4th quarter? Like, is it going to be something where we see them in? Does Ian Journal Pamphlet, whatever his name is, like, come in at some point? Like, really, I don't know what Ian. It's such a wild card for me.
I don't think they're going to get that cute with it. I think that, look, I don't see that happening. I know that's being talked a lot about, and, like, could Peyton just outsmart himself? I mean, look, the guy is looking to exploit matchups, and as crazy as he can be sometimes, because I understand, I get it. We all saw him run out Taysom Hill and then just almost squash Alvin Kamara from just dancing into record books, okay? So I understand it. I get it. We've seen it. We've seen what this looks like. I don't think that he's gonna get that cute with this. I don't think that we're gonna see quarterback roulette and he's like, well, who are we gonna roll with on this drive? I don't think it's gonna be that ridiculous.
Right. That's fair. So a more important character in this is Kamara. I think he's been pretty polarizing, probably because of the quarterback situation. What are we doing with Kamara? Where are we taking Kamara? Should we be worried about Kamara? Admittedly, I'm a little bit worried. There's definitely some guys I'm going and taking before him because I just don't like the scene. I don't know what the deal is.
So Kamara he can't escape the first round. I don't think he's going to escape the first round. The question is, okay, are people going to draft him or should they be drafting him inside the top 5 or 6 picks? And right now, I'm not doing that. I like him, and I think that he should be evaluated as like a top 7 running back in fantasy.
Easy.
But I find myself, I agree with you. I find myself going other directions in fantasy drafts right now because I like Kamara, and I think he's going to be perfectly fine this year. Because the other thing that people are not equating into all this, well, does he get checkdowns? And if Taysom's the quarterback, what does it look like? The one thing that they're not baking into all of that is that the Saints defense is going to be worse. They're going to be worse, and they're going to be throwing more. Like, you can't just lose one of your starting cornerbacks and not replace them. Lose your sack leader from last year in Trey Hendrickson, not replace him. Oh, we hope that there's better health. And that these are not going to be, things are not going to be a factor in this season, and the Saints are going to have to throw the ball, and that means, Alvin Kamara is going to get checkdowns, and there's less pass catchers. So I think he's going to be fine. But I agree with you, Smalls. I find myself going other directions at those spots in fantasy drafts right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit hard. And even like everyone knows I'm a little bit harder on Zeke. And like I'm definitely, I'm taking Zeke over Kamara. I see myself doing it all the time and I struggle with it because, last year that wouldn't have been the case. So it's hard for me to do that as much as I don't want to. I have to, though, because I need to see the bigger picture a little bit. Best ball is a little bit more friendly to Kamara, I think. But as far as the startups go, too, I just can't stomach it. Not this time. But let's go into Tampa Bay. Won the Super Bowl, whole ordeal. How do you feel about them running it back?
I think it's within the range of possibilities. I mean, they're not where I'd be putting my money as far as like betting them to be back in the Super Bowl right now. I think they're going to be close to the favorite, if not the favorite. And I'm just not doing that. I mean, we see year after year, it's incredibly hard. And this team is in full run it back mode. They didn't get younger. They basically just crapped their pants during the NFL draft, so they didn't add a lot of talent there. I mean, really, when you're going with Kyle Trask and you're saying, okay, this is a worthwhile endeavor. Let's go down this street. There are some problems with this math equation. So I think that look, we could see them come out flat. I think they're still going to be a really, really good team. But as far as favorites for the Super Bowl or being back there, I don't know. Not where I'm going to put my money right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they hid this Brady surgery, In 2008, he had his ACL tear, and now we had a cleanup. Apparently something he's been dealing with for a while that they waited to do. They also have Antonio Brown coming off of surgery. Jalen Darden, one of my rookie crushes, is dealing with a hamstring right now. There's a lot of people that suddenly are popping up. Howard as well is dealing with an injury. So we're going to have to see the way that this plays out as far as all these guys go as well. So out of the NFC South, which team is probably in the best position to be out the Bucs? The Saints are plus 270. I probably am not putting my money on the Saints. I think I would lean more towards one of the other teams. I don't know how you're feeling.
So I guess if we're shopping lines here, Smalls, we talked about Carolina, and I know their schedule's kind of, and so is Sam Darnold, okay? What's the line on Carolina right now? Are we getting some long shot here? Like, where's it sit?
Plus 900.
Ooh.
That's where
I mean, if we're going long shots, is this like plus 2,000? No, but it's still, it's 9-1. Like, we could still get some money out of this. And I don't think that's insane. We're not putting our money with the Falcons. We're not doing that. That's
crazy.
Definite.
Because they're 7.5-1, and I think the Falcons defense says absolutely not to the chances of this happening, right? Like, their offense is great. It's the same thing as the Eagles, right? There's teams like that. Go offense. Love it. Okay, but what the hell is your defense doing, right? We got to, look at the big picture here. How are we getting there? So I agree with you. I think that the Panthers, out of these teams, unless the Saints somehow figure it out, I just think that they probably have the best opportunity to knock out Tampa Bay.
They're begging you. They set these lines, and they set the line for the Falcons. They're begging you to put money on the Falcons. And I'm out here, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't get suckered into that. Like, I'm not going to do it. So that they're begging you to do it. I'm just saying, stay away. Don't do it.
Just don't. I know it's very tempting. Very easy to look at that number on Tipico and be like, let me smash that. And then looking at the NFC conference as a whole, because NFC is very interesting. Tampa Bay is obviously in the question. I was on a show last night talking about these guys. Out of the whole NFC, what team could dethrone Mr. Brady from another run?
Ooh, I mean, look, it's the NFC is not as pretty as it used to be. I mean, really, like you stack up the NFC and the AFC, and you're like, oh, there's a lot of juggernaut teams in the AFC. Whoever's coming out of that mess is going to be amazing. And you look over the NFC, and you're like, ew, that's
literally.
Ew.
It's like brand and generic.
I mean, really, you're like, okay, do I go with brand Pop-Tarts or the off-brand, the Walmart brand? Okay, one is edible and the other one's cardboard. I mean, the favorite cardboard piece, at least right now, if you're not going Tampa, which, again, I'm talking about, there's some questions here. We do have a little bit of worries about Mr. Brady and such. But, I mean, if I've got to go with one team, I mean, I think that if you were even going to take any odds on Washington dethroning them, I don't think that's insane if we're talking about a team that's going to be top 5 as far as a lot of defensive metrics this year. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to ball out in this offense. Scott Turner is quietly a really good offensive coordinator. So if I'm going off the page, considering all of these other teams, and we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, so all of the Packer fans need to chill out for a second.
Chill.
If I'm going off the page as far as a team that could dethrone them and maybe make some noise this year, I got some interest in Washington.
Yeah. I think so it's funny because I was asked this question last night, and the first name that came to mind was the Rams. But thinking about it, I'm not fully bought in yet. I have to see Stafford get comfortable. I have to see what that's going to look like. I do like the 49ers. At 5.5-1 on Tipico, I think that's interesting. We don't know, even with Jimmy G, you get a healthy, some health. They have a lot of injuries right now, even going on during camp, but they're not weak at the running back position. That's what people forget. You have Sermon, you have Gallman. I don't really care about the injuries. Mostert is getting old. I just don't, it doesn't bother me. But 5.5-1 is not bad. Even if Trey Lance doesn't end up coming in until the end, could they knock out Tampa Bay? Maybe. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I like both those picks. I mean, the Rams are going to be amazing this year. I think that, the low-hanging fruit is the Rams. I think San Francisco is a really, really good pick as well. I think their defense has a few questions, but their offense could be fantastic. If Trey Lance, whether he starts or he doesn't, we've seen this team go to a Super Bowl with freaking Jimmy G under center. So to say that if they get some players on the defensive side that play up, Bosa comes back healthy, which they need to be monitoring the injury tracker, okay? See what he's doing in camp and OTAs and all these things. like, those are two really, really good teams. I know I went a little bit off the page and went a little bit more contrarian here, but those are two really sharp calls.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that also, don't forget, like the 49ers were beating teams with a third string team last season, like without a problem, like very easily, not an issue. So you bring back a bunch of these guys and I don't know, it's very interesting. The coaching staff is one that I adore over there. Before we start wrapping up, with the topic of injuries, how much do you take injuries into account as far as the offseason go? Do you wait till training camp to get worried? When do we start to get worried?
I think the closer we get to week one, at this part of the offseason, we're hearing like whether you're talking about like Amari Cooper is dealing with some ankle stuff or guys have a few nicks and scrapes. I don't think that I'm that worried about them at this time of the offseason. Even guys coming off of like surgeries and what have you. I mean, really right now it's time to pump the brakes, understand that it is June. Right. Okay? Exactly. We still have a lot of calendar left before week one. Now, we get into like training camps and stuff, and guys are still got some nicks and bruises, and they're like, oh, well, they're still, or Antonio Gibson, we hear his foot or his toe, that he has issues there. He plants one time, and he goes, yeehaw! And he has to sit out a few days from practice. Then that's time to sit here and, okay, not necessarily are we turning on the alarm bell, but we're at least staring at it for a second and remember where the on switch is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the big part of it, too, is like, no matter what, every team, I don't care what player it is, I don't care what team it is, I don't care what, they're going to be cautious with these players. So, even you have to wait till training camp to start being like, no, I'm a little scared. Yep. Like, Amari Cooper, why are you still on the sideline? Like, what are you doing? Why are you not in practice? So I think that there is a level to it, and you need to be able to monitor, like, the big picture because no matter what, like, even Trevor Lawrence, now with a hamstring injury coming off of a shoulder surgery, but they're going to keep him out because that's their golden child. You have to keep him healthy. And if you're not, you got to get him to training camp and then, rest until then and then see from there where it goes. So until training camp, it's not time to panic.
Yep, we don't need to be screaming. We don't need to be running around crazed. I mean, nobody needs to be losing their mind over it just yet. I mean, there's a time and place for that. This is not that time. Yeah. Not yet. Not yet.
Too soon. Not yet. But, D-Bro, thanks for coming on. Tell everyone where they can find you, what's going on, what can they look forward to. Tell me things.
So, yeah, I mean, as usual, all of my content is spread across FTNs, FTN Fantasy, FTN Daily, FTN Bets. A lot of best ball content coming out right now, as well as continuing the series. Brad and I are going through Booms, Busts, Breakouts, and Bets. We're about halfway through. We're going through all 32 teams. There's going to be live for free on the site, as well as you brought up Fade the Chalk 4 to 5 times a week with my co-host Adam Pfeiffer, rolling through, getting you ready for fantasy football, getting you ready for best ball, and we're going to be rocking some DFS and betting this year. So all the things, all the stuff, Smalls, thanks again for having me. This is a blast.
All the stuff. Thank you for coming back. You are officially a friend of the show. But really, thank you so much, guys. Remember, shout out to our sponsors. You guys can download the Tipico app, and they will match 100% of your first deposit up to $750. Get those NFL futures in. We'll keep talking about them next week. But until then, see you then. Does that work? Cheers. One of the two.